Hi everybody, 大家好。今日係 Wine, Dine and All Things Inbetween with me and Jane Anson.
Hi.
Jane 咧，其實而家咧就喺波爾多同我哋一齊嘅，所以咧佢就應該差唔多 lunchtime. Are you around lunchtime?
I am 2 o'clock. Yes.
Okay.
I'm just back from a lovely lunch of some prawns and fish soup.
咁我唔知大家知唔知 Jane Anson 係邊個嘅？咁其實點解我會識佢咧？ So I met Jane here. You actually did my first article about wine in Hong Kong for SCMP. 所以咧係都10幾年前啦 almost very early on when I started within the first year of me starting my wine. 咁Jane 咧其實咧佢係我哋大家知道佢係一個我哋好專家去寫嘢㗎啦，咁佢係幫 Decanter Bordeaux 啦，你問所有嘢咧 she's the woman to go to about wine write-ups and any questions you have about chateaus, especially in Bordeaux. I know she's increased her portfolio into Burgundy. I think it is 因為呢個係人哋講俾我聽嘅，咁有關於法國酒同埋其實好得意喎。Why is your interest? Because you're actually from England, right?
I am from England and I lived in Hong Kong for 3 years back in the 1990s. And I moved to Bordeaux in 2003, so now it's nearly 20 years. It's crazy. It's a nice place to live, and the longer you live here, the more you realize there is to learn. So I've kept learning.
And can you speak French? Everybody always asks this.
Yeah, I can speak French.
Can you speak Chinese?
No, I can. A tiny bit of Cantonese when I lived in Hong Kong, but not enough.
咁咧，其實咧佢亦都喺波爾多有教書嘅。So she actually teaches at the Bordeaux School of Wine, right? And you have a degree and a diploma. You have a degree. No, you have a master's in publishing.
I do, yeah. And then like a tasting diploma from the Institute of Enology here in Bordeaux.
係啊，所以其實佢好叻，同埋佢好中意讀書，係咪？大家都覺得。所以如果你哋有啲咩問題關於咧酒咧，你甚至乎可以即刻講。So if you guys have any questions you want, I'm actually looking at your comments too, so you guys can type in your questions if you have any. The reason why I thought it's very cool to bring Jane here today is, well, other than it's perfect timing for her, 其實咧關於寫嘢，其實好多酒莊啦，我哋都有講過嘅嘢，但係喺寫嗰方面咧 so what's the difference? So what is a wine critic? Just so like our Cantonese audience or Chinese Asia audience knows the difference between, there's so many wine lovers. You've got sommeliers, you've got WSET, Masters of Wine, Masters of Sommelier. So what is a wine critic or wine writer?
So I've always been a writer. So since I graduated, I studied English literature and then I became a writer, but not about wine at first. I was a writer about lots of different subjects. And then I began specializing in wine about 20 years ago. And at first I just wrote stories really about the wine, about the people that made the wine and, you know, all of the things behind and the business of wine. And then I began to taste more regularly and understand more about what, you know, how do you know when a wine is young, if it's going to age well? How do you know when it's young, if it's worth investing in, if it's worth, you know, taking the time with that kind of wine? And the more I did that, the more I began wanting to share that with my readers and the people that follow me. And I think a wine critic, that's kind of the difference, that you're assessing wine and you're trying to share and knowledge and try to help people kind of make choices about how, you know, what they choose to drink and what they choose to drink it with. And should you open it today? Should you open it in 5 years' time? All of those things. I think a critic really is trying to share knowledge of how to enjoy wine best.
Okay. Let me translate a little bit. 所以咧，其實佢一開始咧，其實佢唔係寫酒嘅，佢寫好多唔同嘅故事。其實佢係攞佢嘅 degree 同埋佢嘅 masters 都係因為寫嘢，但係佢唔係專係寫酒嘅。但係咧，因為佢開始試酒啊、飲酒，佢就寫啲故事啊，即係嗰啲後邊每一個酒莊嘅故事啊。然之後慢慢咧就開始飲，又開始試完之後咧，其實佢覺得其實好需要咧俾一個渠俾我哋，譬如平時唔識得飲嗰啲啊，唔知自己飲緊乜嘢咧，佢就會開始解釋，所以佢愛上咗呢樣嘢。It's like you actually want people to grow and learn with it instead of like, I guess critic, because people think that in Chinese it's like you're just putting like comments and saying the bad things about, but 但係 critic 唔代表呢樣嘢，係幫人哋分解去點樣飲啊，點解個酒會咧慢慢 變化喺唔同嘅年份，點解我哋仲可以飲舊酒？So understand the process of vintage wines, for instance, like why would you drink younger wines and why would you drink older wines? And I'm just kind of explaining to them that's the kind of like the difference or what a wine writer kind of does. 咁之後咧 I know that with before you have this book here， 因為呢個咧係我覺得第一次佢送俾我嘅 and this was in Hong Kong.
This I launched in Hong Kong. Oh, to enjoy with a large glass of wine. That's so lovely, 2013.
2013啊，哇8年。
This is the book that I'm relaunching as an NFT. So I'm going to do a limited edition NFT of this book because this was written like 10 years ago and it's the same photographer, the same text that I'm reissuing as an NFT, but I've updated. So I've brought everything up to date with what's happening now.
哇！大家聽到未啊？佢已經好型咧，就已經做埋 NFT 啊！大家呢排咧就大家講緊呢一個新嘅 technology 啦。咁連酒咧，酒界裏邊都會有呢一個變化。咁咧，事不宜遲 because you know we're supposed to enjoy this with a glass of wine. So we have to do this because every episode we always have to do.
Quite right. Okay.
咁大家一齊 cheers 到啊 ，OK？Cheers.
It's so lovely to see you, Bernice. It really is.
It's been such a long time. I mean, the last time I was there was for the Medoc Marathon.
Wow, was it? That's great. So I think we're both drinking the same wine, a Raison Segler. I've got the bottle as well to show everybody the label.
大家我哋今日咧飲嘅咩酒咧？呢個酒咧係佢揀嘅。
Super lovely wine, Raison Segler. Yay! Okay, so cheers.
Cheers. 咁咧我哋咧就因為大家唔係唔同嘅。I am a 2007.
Okay, so I'm 2005, so we're close. Yours is probably more ready to drink because even though 2007 is younger, it was a lighter vintage, so probably nicer to drink right now.
我都開咗一段時間 and I've had it open for about 40 minutes now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, about the same actually for me.
大家 Rosanne 四哥我開咗40分鐘 ，OK， 因為我係2007年，但係佢咧就係2005年，個分別咧就係話佢都話呢一個咧反而咧2007年可能新啲，但係咧容易啲飲喎，因為佢覺得嗰個 harvest 嗰一年份，所以佢咧就係一個好好嘅叫做 wine writer and critic 就可以教我哋，因為可能 I said sometimes it's very hard to remember everything. It's like in like one chateau, you have so many vintages, but for you to know, obviously, because you're kind of like running a marathon, you're always practicing. 咁咧，大家都知道佢成日都喺度試緊嘅，所以啲年份咧佢真係好熟嘅。So if I don't want to do my homework, I can just call Jane and say, which one should I drink first? So why did you choose I know you gave me a few to choose from, and I know the one that she wanted to choose that I didn't have on me because it's a white, right? It's really hard. I drink more reds than white, honestly. Sorry, guys. Or champagne. Sorry, Li Pai. He has a lot of champagne lately. But why did you choose her?
So I chose the Raison Segler because I really, really love this wine. I love the people behind it. So it's owned by Chanel. So it's owned by a luxury goods house, but the people that are making it here just are really committed to the estate. They've done such a good job of investing in it and, you know, kind of being imaginative in the way that they deal with it. And I like it. It's a left bank from Margot. It's kind of balanced and elegant and there's plenty of fruit, but yeah, it's an estate that I love and I like the people. I think that's really a big deal with wine. I like the people.
好多人就會聽到咧，佢講因為呢個酒莊咧就其實而家 Chanel 買咗嘅，所以雖然咧就大公司買咗啦，但係咧因為佢始終都好中意個故事，其實佢好欣賞每一個酒莊嘅故事 ，which 我自己咧一開始飲酒嘅時候我都係聽每一個故事 ，every chateau, every winery has their own little stories in behind, and I think that was the first thing that also attracted me when I was in Napa. I see Teresa is on here. People are coming in, and I see Ricky. Hey, how's it going? Because they're kind of like on and off. Hi, Teresa. Hi. They're all saying hi, Joanne and Ronald. Okay, so I basically didn't even follow my notes. So well, obviously when we met was not 2013. It was actually before that.
We met earlier, yeah. I think we probably met 2009 or 10 maybe.
Yeah, that was the year that I actually started doing wine. And that's when she was still 喺香港嘅嗰陣時，所以 that's why 我哋會識嘅。但係我最中意咧，我每一次去法國咧，我去波爾多咧 I actually went to see you. Well, when I went there, it was actually around this time as well, because you had a Halloween party and a housewarming.
Oh, I did, and I'll never forget. You were so brilliant. And my daughters were in love with you and just followed you, holding your hand in either hand.
And you said they're going to college?
Yeah, the eldest one has just gone to college. The
I
youngest
feel
one
like
is
that
30.
that makes me feel very vintage.
Vintage. Perfect.
And what are you going to do this year for Halloween? Because I guess, I mean, there was no marathon this year, right?
No,
It was a
no.
little smaller, no? And
Yeah.
how is the state in Bordeaux right now?
No, it's the same thing. So here in France, you have a vaccine passport. You've got to show. So if you go into a restaurant, you show your passport. So I think very similar to Hong Kong. So it's not, life has gone back fairly to normal as long as you wear your masks, show your vaccine passport, and are responsible. And apart from that, it's not so bad.
Did it affect the harvest at all? 我其實問佢咧，今次 COVID 嘅時候有冇影響佢哋釀酒？因為 it's been 2 years now.
So last year it was much more complicated. This year, people know more what to do. So they just mainly, if you had a big harvest team, now you're split into several smaller teams. They don't eat lunch together. They kind of stay within their bubble. But you might have like a small team of 10 and they'll be doing different parts of the vineyard. But it was much, much smoother. The weather wasn't as smooth this year, but dealing with the COVID protocols was better.
But because people could not fly in as readily or easily, did you have a lot more local? Because I know a lot of my friends couldn't fly over to be a part of harvest, like from Australia. A lot of the New World friends, like that usually go over to Bordeaux or Burgundy for harvest, they couldn't make it over.
Yeah, I think that's true. And lots of the wineries have these wonderful exchange programs with young winemakers from the rest of the world, and that hasn't been able to happen so much.
Ah, okay. And how about the volumes? Would that affect the volumes of wine being harvested for the last 2 years then?
I think only the weather affects the volumes. So,
really?
So I think last year, the problem is we've had frost. So the volumes are low this year. There was
so maybe gonna find people to work the vineyards regardless, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if they have to, I guess they use a machine. Maybe not the classified, but everybody else. If there are grapes to come in, they will find a way to get them.
You're gonna find a way to catch it. Well, you've been lucky because I know that in the US, I also have a lot of friends over in Napa. Smoke taint was a huge issue the past year and a half. And actually, they're still in harvest right now because I just had a conversation yesterday with Napa people in the States, and they're still in harvest now. But yeah, smoke taint has been a huge issue.
And in Provence, so there were some fires in Provence. They had some smoke taint as well, so that's been tough for them.
And how do you travel? Are you traveling as much? Because I know you used to travel.
So when we had my first book, let me just show you my second book. Well, not a second book, fifth book, in fact. But my most recent book is called Inside Bordeaux, and this came out just at the beginning of lockdown last year. So I did have plans to come to Hong Kong, to LA, to San Francisco, everywhere to do these wonderful tours with it. But I actually did it all via Zoom, but it was great. It really has been been a great success. So most of my traveling has been done in this way, as I think most of us have.
Well, I'm waiting for my copy, so I'm not going to get mine until I get to see you so you can sign mine.
I think Berry Brothers in Hong Kong has it, so I'm going to make sure that you get a copy.
Okay. I think one book that the one that a lot of people were interested in that I got comments on my my DM was that you had what's the wine opus, the one with 1,000 great wines that.
Oh yeah. So that was one of my very first books, actually, and that wasn't just me. It was really an interesting book. You had wine writers from all over the world who suggested their favorite wines from their particular regions, and often they were ones that only were relatively good value wines. That was a really fun book to write on.
Yeah, so there's some questions that they said because they knew you were a part of that. I think a lot of wine newbies here, I think, have become very interested in wine, but they don't know where to approach it. And I think that's what Winemaven's main audience has been about. I mean, there's a lot of people that already know a little bit about wine or in the wine profession, but there's also a lot of people who want to learn how to appreciate wine, but it's a bit intimidating at first. And so somebody actually brought this book up and said, are you going to do a wine book for people who can just like look up right away and not so expensive?
Yeah, it's a really great idea. And from this book, Inside Bordeaux, I've just launched my site inside it's janeanson.com, super easy. And in that site, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'll have the bigger wines, but also wines that I really champion that are smaller. They might be organic or biodynamic, or or just with young producers who are trying to do something different. And I'm doing not just writing about it, but podcasts, speaking about them, videos, just to make it much more inclusive and much easier for people to kind of get into it.
咁而家大家有冇聽到咧？就其實咧之前佢出嗰個書咧係呢一個嘅，呢個係差唔多佢其中第一個咧，就嚟緊咧就會出 NFT。咁咧佢就最新嗰個咧就喺佢嘅手嗰個。Can you lift up the one that you have right now？ 因為咧佢因為 Covid 佢嚟唔到香港，但係本身咧佢其實諗住做 promotion for Inside Bordeaux 嘅，所以咧如果你想得到呢個 ，Where can they get this the newer one？
This I think is with Berry Brothers in Hong Kong. I'm sure that's
大家只可以去嗰度嘅啫。They can't get it online.
Yes, but I'm not sure about shipping into Hong Kong. I can check.
咁呢個咧
They certainly sell it online in Berry Brothers Hong Kong.
OK， 呢個係最新嗰個咧，同埋咧都問咗咧，因為有人問我，佢會唔會再出一個咧？之前有一個叫做1000嘅好嘅酒，但係咧未必需要太貴嗰個咧，佢都諗住而家係開咗個新。So why we're actually talking today as well because she newly launched a site， 佢啱啱開咗個 janeanson.com， 我之後就會擺上去嘅大家。And then 咧呢個咧其實我好中意 because I'm about the same thing is trying to make wines more approachable and kind of bridging the gap between some people that might not too sure, kind of feel intimidated, don't know how to ask the right questions or afraid to ask questions because they're looking at somebody in a three-piece suit and they don't know how to order wine. That's the biggest thing that the questions and where Winemaven has kind of wanted to open the conversation and keep it going, where you kind of can ask the questions privately, but then try it out yourself. 咁我覺得 like 呢樣嘢，我覺得 Jane 好，因為我每次打俾佢咧，關於酒莊啊， so whenever I call you, sometimes I'll just message you on WhatsApp and ask you like weird questions of like wineries, lands, even chateaux.
I love that.
Probably it's very early in the morning too， 即係有時我 message 佢好早嘅時間，佢都要答翻我嘅問題。咁啊呢樣嘢我覺得好好咯，所以嚟緊佢呢個 website 咧 ，it's already up, correct? But I know there's some part
just this week. It just launched like 3 days ago. Super exciting.
So 佢係3日已經 launch 咗，大家上去janeanson.com， 我陣間都會加上去啦。同埋呢一個咧，你可以睇翻關於佢講緊嗰啲酒同埋個 difference between 即係佢寫嘅酒嘅嘢啦。咁and then 之後咧就大家可以都係問翻佢個問題。I think there's also an area where they can leave questions on there.
Yeah,
exactly. 佢自己都會答嘅，因為好新。And when do you think you'll be able to make it?
When will you let me in? I'm ready. I'm with my vaccine card ready to come.
So and what is the next part of janeanson.com? Like what's the newest project other than a book? Or I know you just said podcast, but podcasts are going to be in English, right?
Yeah, they will be. And then the NFT, so on the site I do have different books. 2 of my books are in Chinese as well, so I'll make sure that that's clear on the site.
Okay,
so,
cool. And the NFT, well, I think some people want to know, okay, so how do you do your NFT here? Hey, Catherine says hi.
Hi. Oh, that's great. Hi.
People have started going to dinner. Have gone to dinner, so we're down to a couple of people off now because they said we have to go to dinner. Hong Kong, so we're going to come back and watch it. Yeah. So for an NFT, for wine NFT, or for I guess it's a Jane Anson NFT.
Yeah, so it's interesting. The whole thing of wine and NFT, we just talked about this and we both are interested in this subject. Yeah. I've been following a couple of chateaux in Bordeaux who have kind of launched an NFT version of their bottles where if the people buy the NFT, they can go into the chateau and swap it for a case of wine or whatever. And there's a couple of smaller estates who've had really great success in connecting with new audiences doing that. And then, as you said, you have Chateau Angelus, you have the bigger estates also trying it. So what I'm doing is, because I'm a writer, I'm trying to, to bring what my talent is, which is writing, to a different audience. And the great thing, if you're a content creator for NFTs, I'm sure you feel like this as well, is that as it gets bought and sold, you still remain, you still remain your IP. You get the royalties each time. It's just a great way of remaining involved throughout the chain. And what I'm trying to do is, if people buy the NFT, then they either get access to me for a wine tasting, or they get access to my site. They'll get a free subscription to my site. There'll be real world benefits.
Yeah, and that's why I was really interested when I mentioned it, and you already had started that process， 因為其實大家諗起 wine 咧，點樣可以做到呢個 NFT？ 我哋又唔係一個幅畫，即係 wine 嗰個酒樽啊，個酒樽都可以還做。佢都好似阿 Jane 都講咗咧，佢咧啲人咧就買咗嗰個 NFT 之後咧，就可以去嗰個酒莊交換佢仲一箱酒。咁成為一個 wine writer， 即係寫嘢咧，佢嘅價值喺邊咧？其實佢就可以 present 晒所有嘅如果你買咗佢嗰個 ，and it's going to be a limited release, right? She doesn't know when it's happening, so everybody has to kind of keep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in November. I think it'll be in November, but I have to. On the website, of course, I'll have like a countdown.
哇，好快啊！佢下個月已經 launch 佢嗰個 NFT 啊，咁大家睇住，因為 because it will be limited, because it's also your first one. 佢快過我啊，so you're faster than me on this, because I'm still learning. I know you're like really, and you're right in the middle of Bordeaux, which gives you so much access to so many things, so many bonuses. 佢個 NFT 可以連埋一個 package 咁樣嘅。So and at the same time, I think that's really cool moving forward. So for the wine world though, because it's such a traditional, like for me, my main bridge in my head was how to get the old world in a sense, like because everything is so physical, so hard. How do we get that to branch over? Because just having a lot of chateaus open a website. It's actually very recent. A lot of them didn't even have a website before because they went through merchants. So how do you see that affecting the wine chain in that sense?
I think it's so interesting. And I think the last 2 years with COVID have actually really helped kind of bridge that digital gap, because even a lot of the chateaus are very traditional. And in Bordeaux, remember, they make the wine, but merchants sell the wine. They don't even normally sell the wine. And I think the last 2 years with COVID has helped them realize the real benefit of being able to reach out and be with people like you and have, do these kind of things where they get to speak directly to the consumers. And I think that's going to keep going. I don't think that's going to change once we get back to normal, whatever normal is now.
Do you think it's going to help the wine industry though, or do you think it's going to?
Well, I think it's going to evolve the wine industry. I think that the idea of simply having a static website, which, as you say, was pretty new for them anyway.
Yeah.
It isn't, and they I think they're realizing how much the fun that can be had and the direct relationships that can be developed.
I was really surprised that even merchants didn't have websites until this last year, but the need for I still think that nothing replaces a tasting dinner though. I as much as this digital world and sending wines to other places, and we can all do this in a more closer community than thinking that we're across the world. This tasting part is cool, but actually going and dressing up to a wine dinner, I kind of really, we've recently been able to have the OCCs again and the commandery dinners. And I think it was just so, I love that whole wearing the cape and being able to give each other a hug and just, eating in a setting, there's a lot of conversation and a lot of catching up that you normally would do for a dinner, friend's dinner. And it's not so much like a wine dinner, but that also increases the experience of the wine. So like the actual purchasing, and you want to taste it before you buy it. I think that was the main hard part for people like me trying to answer the questions of these tastings and dinners and people requesting them, if they can do it even in small settings or home kitchen settings. But at the same time, because of COVID, it just wasn't possible. So I don't know if how do you think people are going to be prepared for in Bordeaux, because you're going to be there probably in the next year. People are going to be flocking because of that need to want to travel, not even just to, not even just because of the wine itself, but because they want to travel, so they're going to pick a destination.
And you're right, to experience shared experiences again. I think that's that's what everybody wants again.
Yeah. So let's just see, because I totally was not looking at the questions, or if anybody had anything on my IG as well. Is there anything you want to tell? Do you miss Hong Kong at all? Because you used to come here quite often.
I did. So I lived in Hong Kong for 3 years, and then after I left, I always went back. So probably once every 1 or 2 years, I'd go back. And yes, I really, really miss Hong Kong. I'd love to be coming back. And I want to go to your wine bar. I can't believe I haven't been, not wine bar. I want to go.
係啊，其實佢之前成日都嚟呢度嘅，同埋佢好 familiar 同好多香港嘅朋友啦。其實我都知道好多香港朋友都會認識佢嘅喺酒世界嗰方面嘅。咁其實我哋香港嚟講咧，一個咁出名嘅 wine critic、wine writer 咧，咁多年咧，佢都好 keep 住inform 我哋嗰啲關於其他嗰啲酒莊啊嚟緊啊。其實你都可以去佢個 Instagram，你都可以去佢個 Twitter 啦。佢個 Jane Anson Twitter，佢成日都 update 嗰度咧嚟緊個 JaneAnson.com 會有啲乜嘢嘅。咁希望咧，佢亦都有中文出嘅書 ，so she also does have the books in Chinese，which 佢陣間佢會撈埋 make sure 我哋可以攞得到嘅，尤其是未必識睇英文，即係咁多嘅英文可以，因為我都要學中文嘅。咁嗰啲酒莊嗰啲嘢嗰啲名咧，呢個全本書係有中文版嘅 ，so we'll figure out the links of where they can buy the Chinese and the English version, and I'll put them up on the YouTube when I put it up. 咁咧，大家我哋都係咪差唔多噶啦？ So we're gonna call it soon, and then I'd love to have like it in. I want to see the NFT, and I wonder if we'll be.
Oh, I can't wait to show you. As soon as it is done, you'll be the first to know.
Thank you so much, Jane. If anybody else has questions after we're done too, you can totally send it up here, and then we'll make sure.
I have a question for you. I have a question about, so if I was going back to Hong Kong, one of the things I really, really miss is going walking and all the beauty. There's so much beauty from going from downtown, you're out ready to walk in 20 minutes. I want to know what you miss most about Bordeaux. And next time you come back, what is the first thing that you want to do?
Wow, okay. So I really like Saint-Emilion for some reason. The hilly town area. The last time I went there, because I was there with Thibault, and there's a church there in the front there. Yeah, Thibault. And then now he already has 2 more girls, and they're so big already. So I see them once in a while online. He was like a brother to me, right? So he would take me out a lot. And of course, where I'm spoiled the most is at Lynchbage Village. Because in that little area, if you've never been to Bordeaux or France, like a lot of friends here, they always ask, where should we go? And it's that one stop area. It's away from town though. So you might want to spend a day or 2 in there because there's a lot of history. And you can walk on the stony roads. And now there's a whole brand new winery and vineyard and chateau there.
And a really, really beautiful shop. I love that shop. Yeah. I never go there without buying something.
The new side, I haven't seen it. I haven't been there since they renovated. So when I was there, it was just renovating. So I haven't even seen the new, I just see pictures of it, that the wide glass wall. It was being built when I was there. But I think because for me, I don't really go out much and it's very different from Hong Kong. That is just, you just walk out on the street, you take pictures of everything. And Bordeaux City has obviously the hotel that's looking at the museum and the gallery across. Where Stephen, I don't know if he moved again, but I loved where he moved the last time because it was right downtown, like right in the middle area.
So now he lives in Saint-Emilion.
Oh, does he? I haven't been to that house yet, so
yeah, that'll be a fun place to explore.
And his kids are big too.
So his son has also just started university this year. So mine started in a place called Sussex near Brighton, and his at Edinburgh.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
Crazy. I just see pictures of them, and he's like, they're all adults now.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And that's how many vintages of Bellavizio I have.
Yeah.
It's literally when they so I managed to keep that going up. So hopefully we'll be able to see you soon. I was really close already because I was in Cannes, but then I wasn't allowed to go over. I had to basically stop, do the awards ceremony. I didn't go to any networking or any parties because I promised my family. Because COVID was still a bit, the numbers went up again. So I promised I would go out so that I would come back, COVID free. And so hopefully the next time I go, we can all go out. You can go on.
So wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll say goodbye. 大家同阿 Jane say goodbye 啦 and hopefully 你哋大家都可以睇返 and 我哋會擺晒啲 information 上去㗎啦。Thank you so much, Jane.
So good to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.